what's going on in the crypto market right now and through the end of this month. What can we expect from Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoins, altcoins? We're going to look at all that in tonight's video. This is Crypto Simulation Theory. I'm the Gaussian Snake. This is data-driven analysis. We don't focus on hype, only data. If you're interested in content like this, subscribe to my channel and be sure to join my free Telegram group where we have very experienced analysts from all over the world who will provide you with free alpha on the daily. So go ahead and click on that subscribe button and let's get started. Not financial advice. When you look at crypto total market cap, which is what's pulled up here on the weekly, it becomes really obvious that being bearish does not make any sense at all, and that we should expect Bitcoin to go higher soon and take the total market cap up with it. So I had a question earlier today in my Telegram about how high do I think that the total crypto market cap can go in 2025? And the answer might surprise you. I think it can actually go quite high. I think that crypto total market cap can actually make it this cycle. And I'm not saying this will happen like at the beginning of the year or anything, but if the cycle extends deep into 2025, then I think, like, let's just say we get our typical cycle, we could hit somewhere in between 9.41 trillion and 12.795 trillion. That is the 1.786 fib and the 2 fib. I think that could happen. I think a blow off top is actually quite likely for total crypto market cap. If we look at what happened in the last cycle, right, and I'll throw fibs on there as well, I want to show you that I think it was an anomaly, and I don't think it's likely to reoccur this time. So let me show you what. Now, I heard somebody, there's some arguments saying, well, we only made it to the 1.618 fib last time. This was the 2018 bear market and 2021 cycle. So maybe we go lower this time to the 1.272 or 1.414. Doesn't work like that. I don't think it does. Yes, Bitcoin and crypto in general, this is total market caps, not Bitcoin, do have diminishing returns. That is a fact. But I think this was an anomaly. I think what happened here was first of all, we had the COVID drop, which was a drop into a recession. And then interest rates were lower to zero, and we had quantitative easing, and we had a massive amount of stimulus in the market, caused this first bull leg. But people were getting laid off, losing their jobs, and staying home from work. And I think a lot of that affected how high Bitcoin could go that cycle. And I think the fact that we topped out at the 1.618 was actually fairly disappointing. I think if we had been in better economic conditions, we could have made it to about 5 trillion. I think it could have happened. Or at the very least, maybe to 4 trillion, right? We just barely made it to 3 trillion. I think this cycle is going to surprise a lot of people with just how high we're going to go. So I'm very bullish on total crypto market cap. I think 2025 is going to take this metric a whole lot higher. And I think it may end in a blow off top, similar but not as volatile as what happened in 2017. Bitcoin on the weekly is just barely getting started. Total three has just, total one, the total market cap, it just put in a double top. Bitcoin has actually put in a higher high. I think that Bitcoin is going to find some resistance probably by quarter one, somewhere around the 1.414 fib. Okay, I think somewhere around here is where altcoin season is going to begin. And I think Bitcoin is likely to hit 128 to 132,000 by the end of this year. And at the latest, early Q1 2025, but I think it's going to happen soon. I think it's going to happen near the end of this year. If you look at the parabolic SAR on the weekly, I guess I have to pull that up on my regular indicators. Thought it was up on the screen, but it's not. Parabolic SAR just getting started. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 parabolic dots. You can see during our uptrend that we had at the end of last year, we had a lot more than that, and these are concave up. So I think some explosive move is coming. I initially thought we'd get some resistance around 100,000. I don't think that's really going to happen now. I think we're going to slice right through it because we've been having a little bit of resistance in the 93K range. So I think we're likely to see a move to the 1.414 with some slowdown, and that's actually perfect because that corresponds to my logarithmic long-term regression. I'm sorry, my linear regression long-term line upper boundary. Let me show you just to remind you of that. So this is my linear regression channel that dates all the way back to June of 2022. Bitcoin has respected this trend. It is a strong trend this entire time. And I don't know if this is distracting seeing the fibs overlaid, but it's kind of important. Notice where the 1.414 fib is. It's right at the top of my logarithmic regression channel. And I actually think that this could be a stopping point for Bitcoin sometime as soon potentially at the end of this year or potentially early 2025. Somewhere in there, I think 130,000 is very likely to be hit. Now, what I don't know is if this level will be broken right away. I don't think that it will. It could. But I think Bitcoin will have a little bit of a slowdown around there. And if we look at something like the Snabble RSI, maybe we can get an idea of why. We're already at some pretty high levels, okay? And it looks like we might even potentially be turning down soon. We could go higher. We did in 2023, so that we could go a little bit higher. But I think some cooling off is going to probably happen after a few months, and 130,000 would make sense to be a level somewhere around the somewhere between the 1.272 and 1.414, and I think that can kick off an altcoin season. And Bitcoin can probably screw around in between these two fibs for a little while and build out some volume there and let the RSI cool off a little bit before another leg higher later in the year. I know I've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth between Bitcoin having a left translated cycle in early 2025, mid, early to like late Q1, early Q2, and making it all the way to the end of 2025. To be honest with you, with how bullish everything is, it really seems to me like we're likely to go all the way into late into 2025. It's hard for me to make those kind of predictions, but the chart seems to kind of back that up. Well, I mean, I can give you the counter argument to that, of course, is on the 2 week. Where is it? Which is just one time frame, right? So, like, all this is just interpretation. So ignore this. On the, I'm looking for the reverse Chaney momentum oscillator, right? So reverse Chaney momentum oscillator for Bitcoin the signal line did just recently flip green, which is a huge, huge development. What I'm really hoping to not see here is a head and shoulders pattern. So if we do go up and we kind of screw around, I'm hoping it kind of, maybe comes down and tests the green line, maybe goes a little bit red and then goes back up again. I don't think it's going to hit this high, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it late 2025 come up here maybe. So again, I'm very bullish for next year, just in general, super bullish. And it's not because I own crypto, it's because of what the charts are telling me. Everything here in crypto simulation theory is data driven. Something else I want to show you to show you that the bull run is barely even getting started is the ADX and DI. So the ADX and DI measures trend strength. There's a huge bullish divergence that just happened in the past month, past few weeks, that has taken ADX to some pretty high levels not seen since earlier this year. And the directional index, though, or the ADX, the average directional index, is only at 17, indicating a strengthening trend, but a trend that's not that strong yet. So we haven't even got to these levels yet. I don't think we're going to get this high again, but I think we could come up and put in a lower high. And it could be a significant lower high deep in 2025. Okay. So I'm not saying we're going to have green the whole way. I'm expecting a slowdown next year. And I think that we'll see a nice altcoin season before we have that slowdown. It's going to be tricky because we're going to have to, ask ourselves, well, just how high can Bitcoin really go? Um, and that is a great question that we will have to analyze time and time again. But if you've looked at my risk metrics, Bitcoin, like right now, let's go back here. I'll just throw it on. If I have it loaded on here or not. Do I? Of course I don't. Okay, let me just load it real quick. So my risk metric, there it is. So, and let me just clear these other things off. I should just, yeah, don't need the log. We don't need the linear regression. Keep calling it log. It is based off of, there is some logarithmic regression involved, but let's not talk about that right now. So we look at Bitcoin risk curve. Right now, this is risk, right? For Bitcoin, we are just butting up against 60 risk at 93K. Notice that's where we hit a little bit of resistance. Look, we could chop around here for a little while. It's okay if we do. I honestly don't care. But I think we're heading into this wristband next, and I think it's coming soon. And that will put us at, the 80 level, I think is where we're likely to see some cooling off. Okay, I think around between the 70 and 80, I think we're going to see some cooling off happening. Now we could be having the cooling off right now. It's possible, right? I'm just saying I think Bitcoin is likely to get more bullish, not just go crabbing around. We crabbed around enough. I don't think we're going to crab around for very long here. Maybe a week or two, but then up again we go. And I think by that point we can get up into this upper region. I don't think we're going to get up into the topping region, which is between 80 risk and 100 risk. Bitcoin has hit this risk band every single time in its history. And in the last blow off top, it went all the way to the top of it. I think that's going to happen again this cycle, but I think it's going to happen in 2025. So I think people will be calling for a top when we get over 100K, but I don't think it will be the top. There's so much liquidity coming in. Quantitative easing hasn't even really truly begun yet. We've had a few rate cuts, but we're still at pretty high FFR. So I think you won't really feel the effects of quantitative easing until 2025 anyway. So I don't know. I'm just seeing a really bullish year next year and a continuation of what's just begun here with the bull market. ETH Bitcoin or Ethereum against Bitcoin looks absolutely atrocious. What I guess the good thing I can say though is it looks like it's bottoming right now. I think it is bottoming. It's at 0.034 Bitcoin, which is in my red zone, so perfectly fine. Could we go a little lower? Sure. Do I think that this is going to last much longer? No. I think that what is very likely, especially if you pull up the 2-week RCMO, I mean, this is the weekly, but I'll turn on the 2-week in a second. I mean, you can already see on the weekly we have some divergence, but it's even more apparent on the 2-week just how overextended the downside we are. Oh, and I noticed something on the ADX and DI, double bottom on the trend strength, and we're about to cross the red. That's usually a bearish sign for whatever's on top. So I think that's about to come down. Look at this. This is incredible. We have never been this low in ETH Bitcoin's history. In fact, we can't even go much lower. So do I think that ETH Bitcoin will go much lower than it is now? No, I don't. Parabolic SAR dot for trend reversals at 0.04530. I think sometime between now and near the end of Q4, but probably closer to now, like I don't know, somewhere in that time frame, I think we're going to see a violent trend reversal. I think we're going to see ETH Bitcoin come up in a very violent way, probably towards the end of the year, like I said. There's a part of me that thinks it could happen within the next week or two, and then there's a part of me that thinks end of the year. So we'll just say somewhere. And I think ETH Bitcoin is likely to put in a double bottom. I think it will go up and then come down. So maybe it goes up really soon and then comes back down, or maybe it just goes up, puts in a higher low, and then off we go. It doesn't have to do a double bottom, right? And I think that we're going to take out this SAR target and begin a change in trend. Now, the change in trend won't happen overnight. Of course, there has to be some accumulation, and I think we'll see that taking place probably at the very end of the year and throughout some of early Q1 as Ethereum starts to begin the process of outperforming Bitcoin, which I think is very likely to happen next year. So while things right now are absolutely awful, especially if you're holding Ethereum, a lot of Ethereum, it doesn't feel very good. If you're holding Ethereum-based altcoins, most of them are not doing very well. Just a lot of Ethereum plays are not doing well right now. Solana's doing great. In fact, that's something we should probably take a look at. So let's look at Solana. This feels like 2023 all over again, right? But end of 2023, Solana was one of the first movers in the recovery. So Solana had a really long crab cycle itself, and look at it now. Like it's almost about to take out its all-time high. It will. I think it definitely will. Solana seems to be tracking the movement of Bitcoin pretty well. So I think Solana is going to have a fantastic year. Let's take a look at Sol Bitcoin. Okay, Sol Bitcoin is starting to really flag. I think Sol Bitcoin will get another nice leg up. And yeah, Sol Bitcoin bottomed long before ETH Bitcoin, and so be it. I still think Ethereum is going to run hard and it will outperform Solana, but I don't think it's going to happen until next year. Okay, so I wouldn't fade Ethereum and think Ethereum's done for, but Solana is going to be the star of the show, I think, coming in. And a lot of AI coins have been blowing up recently as well. I'm not going to go through those, but AI has been a very hot sector. Feels just like 2023, man. This is exactly what started happening in October of 2023. just happening a month later in 2024. Well, I drew this a little while ago, and it seems to be following the path that I predicted. So Tether dominance broke out of this rising wedge, and I think it's at the it's at the 618 right now, and we predicted it probably would get stuck here a little bit, and that just happened to correspond to $93,000 Bitcoin. I think once this falls through, and I think it will, it's going to probably fail this test of the 618. We head down here, and I think this is where you're very likely to see altcoin season is right in here at the 786 fib. And I think a major cycle top, I put it here in March, but to be quite honest with you, I probably would change the shape of this. I think there's going to be more crabbing in this region than what I have here, right? So I think you're more likely to see crabbing around here, maybe even some downside. I don't know. I think it's just going to be very crabby. And we could even, in fact, we could even see another, bear market rally, or it could be the end of the bull market. Like I don't really know, right? But I think I'm gonna hold off on getting down to the one fib or the 0.886 in reverse, right? I just don't think that's likely. I really should reverse these fibs, but it's okay. Um, I just don't think that's likely to happen. I can see stablecoin dominance getting bullish in Q2, and then maybe rolling over again in Q3 or Q4 of next year as the bull market comes to an end. If it does what it's always done, right? We need to be open-minded to the idea of a left translated cycle. It could still happen, but we also need to be open-minded to the idea that Bitcoin could do what it's always done and just head straight into Q4, Q3 of next year and have a blow off top. Now, thanks mostly to some really successful projects on Solana, Base, Sui, and other chains not named Ethereum. Well, Base is on Ethereum, but not directly on Ethereum. Altcoins on Ethereum have not been doing very well. Others' dominance did actually come back above this trend line. This is very bullish. This is bullish. It went below the trend line, came back up. So this is potentially a fake out. Okay, potentially a fake out, potentially a double bottom. Now, what I don't like is this is a lower low for others' dominance. I don't like that. So I'd like to see some follow through so we don't, roll back over again, which is possible, right? It's possible that happens. When Bitcoin goes up to, let's say, 130K, we could see others' dominance fall again. So this is something to definitely keep an eye on. I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's take a look at some more metrics. Let's see if we've got a bullish or bearish Gunnar EMA band. What kind of band do we have? We have a bull market support band. Okay, I think. Let me check. Is this bull or bear? No, sorry. We have a bear market resistance band. The red is above the green. So we want to see us get above the red and really close this gap in the next month or two and turn this around into a bull market support band. We had a rising wedge. It broke. Really just looks like a bear market rally. So I think altcoins are going to need some time to accumulate. And many alts may not run until late Q1 potentially. I think there's some altcoins waking up right now, and you're going to see different sectors pop off. But we might not see altcoin season get super hot until sometime in Q1. Okay, 2024 has been a Bitcoin year. Will be remembered as such, but I think 2025 will be remembered as an Ethereum and altcoin year. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this. Let's take a look at the RCMO on this metric. Sorry, I have so many metrics, it's hard for me to find them even when I've gone to them several times. I already had it open. Very inefficient. Okay, now we got the ADX and DI showing that the bear trend is weakening. It is weakening. Trend strength is still fairly strong, but it's coming down. So maybe we get some accumulation in the coming months, or even coming weeks in December and onward. RCMO is actually straddling the green line on the 2-week, which is a little, oh, this is the weekly. Let's go to the 2-week. So a weekly data is still valuable. So on the 2-week, we just barely had a bullish cross. Kind of looks a little bit like Bitcoin. Somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders. So this is good. Maybe, getting a green signal line, this is good. Looks like we have a double bottom on the RCMO. So if I had to guess, I think altcoins against Bitcoin are in a bottoming process right now. Could we go below the trend line again? Sure, we could. Actually, would not be a horrible thing if we did and printed a new double bottom, that or a higher low or something to kind of turn us around here. Which look at the Gaussian channel is looking like it's kind of flat, so that's a good sign. Perhaps we get that turn in 2021 and 2025, Q1, I think we'll see the turn and altcoins can start to be bullish against Bitcoin in a much bigger way again. So what's my overall read of the market? It's a bull market. It's an early bull market. It probably still has close to a year of life left in it. I know I presented a theory where I said it could end in late Q1, early Q2, but I don't know. Like the more data I look at as we approach the end of the year, and I've been very clear in my videos that I wouldn't really have a great idea of what's going to go on in 2025 until we got closer to the end of this year, because I can't make predictions like 6 months from now. But I'm starting to think that this thing has legs and that we can really see a nice blow off top, potentially to 270,000 by the end of next year. And of course, I'll have to pivot my stance if I see the data. By the way, I think others' dominance may have actually had a higher low, not a lower low. So I stand corrected on that. You may have noticed that when I was reviewing it. I'm seeing the chart right now on my screen. It's not on your screen. So stand corrected on that. But anyways, I think that 2024 will remain a Bitcoin year all the way to the end. You may see Ethereum start to wake up in a big way soon. However, I think that bounce will probably be somewhat short-lived and roll over again. So maybe Ethereum wakes up near the end of this month after Thanksgiving and then rolls over again in December to put in a higher low and then blasts off in January and we have an ETHBTC. Something like that I think could be very likely to happen. That sometime during the next few months, Bitcoin is in its bottoming process. And the bottoming process doesn't mean that you just blast right off, right? You have to accumulate for a while. So see a little bit of choppiness probably from Bitcoin heading into the end of the year and into early Q1. But I think after that, nice things coming for Ethereum and altcoins. And wow, what a year it will be for all them. So I think, if you're holding a large Bitcoin position right now, which is a very sensible thing to do, not financial advice, but I would probably think about what is likely to be popping next and start to get some exposure to that. Getting some Solana exposure is not the worst idea. AI exposure. There's some sectors that haven't popped off yet that undoubtedly will next year. I think every sector will pop off. GameFi, DeFi, meme coins are gonna. Meme coins have been hot all cycle, but I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think they will continue to be hot all cycle. There'll be an Ethereum season. There'll be another base season. There'll be RWA season. Like, trust me, every single sector is going to pop at some point next year, and it could pop more than once. We could get 2 altcoin seasons in 2025. That's actually a likely outcome based on what's happened in the past. It's not guaranteed, but it is likely. So you ain't seen nothing yet is the bottom line. It doesn't make any sense to be bearish right now, in my opinion. It does make a lot of sense to be bullish. It makes sense to think that Bitcoin could go over 100K in Q4 and is likely to go as high as 128K to 132K by the end of the year. As unbelievable as that sounds, it's kind of a likely situation for Bitcoin to rip right through 100K and then run into some resistance a little bit higher, setting off an altcoin season. That may not even be the altcoin season. Maybe the biggest altcoin season could come later in the year, but we don't want to let any gains go to waste, right? So have a profit taking strategy. Have it now. Know what you're going to do. Make your moves when the time is right. Okay. So I think that's the thing. Is Bitcoin, the money ball right now is with Bitcoin. It's going to stay with Bitcoin, I think, through more or less the end of this year, and it will start to roll over into Ethereum and alt next year. So great times ahead. I think you still have time to accumulate altcoins if you haven't done so already. I think having a good amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum makes sense, especially in preparation for an Ethereum tsunami to come next year, most likely. You could be, just slowly converting some of that Bitcoin over to ETH and to altcoins, Solana, that sort of stuff to just diversify your portfolio. If you're a complete degen like me, then you're kind of sitting around waiting. There's many ways to play this market. Mine's probably not the best, but it's just what I'm doing. I'm a very high risk investor this market cycle. Probably won't be next cycle, but we'll talk about that next time. So those are my thoughts on the market. The road to mania is coming. Thank you for joining me for Crypto Simulation Theory. I am Legacy Snick, in case you didn't know that. And this channel is all about data-driven analysis. That's what we're about. If you like it, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about what I said in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to my Twitter account, my X account, also my Telegram, where we have over 300 like-minded individuals just like you who are hungry for alpha hungry for altcoin information. We have some professional analysts in our channel. Be sure to check them out. I'm in there too, posting stuff every day for free. I'm not going to charge a dime for anything on my channel until the end of this bull run. You have my word on that. So you can put your money in the market and not in my channel. We'll talk about plans around that later when the bull market's over. But right now, just focus on making your money in the market. That's what I'm focusing on doing. I'll see you again next time. Again, nothing here was financial advice. Do your own research. Until next time, bye.